I'm gonna stack a cake my way. The little dowel holes here are just my little chimneys, so the air can be released once I put the fondant on. So I've measured the cake that goes above this, and it is this wide. I only ever use these just because more surface is more secure. So I'm kind of estimating how wide it is. I'm going to go right in here with the first one. And the tiers above this one are relatively small tiers. This is a wax pencil. It's food safe. Just going to make a little mark right there at the top of the cake where the plastic dowel comes out. And these are Wilton. I buy them from Sweetwise. Any of the craft stores have them. I like to leave the cake inside and on the outside. That way, once I get 3 or 4 of them cut, I don't lose track on which one actually is the one that's the right size. These are PVC pipe cutters I picked up at the hardware store. You can see my red line is a little bit crooked. I always go to the top of it. These are super sharp too, so please don't get your finger in there, and always lock them after every cut. So I straighten it back out to where it's nice and round again. Put the next piece next to it. If you cut it a little bit crooked, just make sure you get enough space there that you get the longest point marked. That way you don't have to worry about them being shorter than the one before. And I always use the original one as my mark. See how this one's not cut straight? So I'll rotate it till I get the longest piece next to that one. And then I'll mark it. I'm going to do 5 in this layer. This is a 9-inch. It's going to have a small 7 and a 5 above it. If I was any bigger than this 9-inch and had anything heavier going on top of it than what I have, I would definitely go with 6 instead of 5. But these things are super sturdy, so for this 5 is definitely adequate. Probably more than adequate. I know there's a lot of people out there that use straws, but again, I feel like the more ground surface, the more straw you have on the ground, the better. It's kind of like, you know, using the appropriate size cake board. If you go too small and you have a tall cake, your cake can fall over because your board's not giving it enough ground surface. Alright, now I'll kind of get down and eyeball them. And make sure they're all the same height. And they are. These two are just a tad longer than these 3. So I'll make sure that these 2 are across from each other. So I know that this one's going to go in here. And I need these 2 to be across from each other. So I'm going to go here and here. And you're supposed to put these about 2 inches apart. I don't measure, I just eyeball it once again. It works. I get the chocolate cake off my hands. Kind of work it in a little circle and go. Work it in a little circle. And I'm not pushing it all the way in because my thumb is covering the hole and the air gets trapped in there and it builds pressure against my thumb and it makes it harder to put in. So now, when I set my next layer on top of here, I don't have any concerns about these guys shifting or anything like that because they're secure to the bottom. You know, there's cake inside, there's cake around them. As long as I've got enough in there and enough surface touching the ground, contact to the ground or to the bottom, the cake board that's under here, I'm not concerned about things collapsing or falling over. Here's my next layer going on. I'll do the same thing again. I'm going to go measure what I've got in the refrigerator. These are the Wilton plastic dowel rods, just so you can see what they are. Okay, I've measured. My next layer is a 5-inch, so it goes approximately here. And I'm going to use one of these pieces because I think I might be able to get 2 out of here so I don't waste. And I'm only going to do 4. And technically with this, because a 5-inch is going above it, I could use the straws. And I would use the fat straws, the bubble tea straws, not just like regular drinking straws. But if I used the bubble tea straws, then I would use about 6 of those, which is you're gonna lose the same amount of cake as 6 of those or 4 of these. So I'm just doing these because that's what I like using. That chocolate cake back in there. So I'm not going to be able to get, that one's a little bit too short. Oops, I didn't close them. So, on other cakes, I have a little tray that I always save the little pieces in because sometimes they're the right size. Sometimes I get really lucky. And being frugal pays off. I don't know if today's going to be that day though. There's a good one. And I need 4, so yeah, yay. I'm going to go ahead and eyeball these before I... Okay. And this cake is very, very chilled. I need to do something else to this because I'm putting swag on this. And if you can see right here, this has marks on it. I always use a star, 5 swags. Star works perfect. So let's see where those are. If I can get them all to line up, that'd be great. So even though I want my swags to line up on each tier, putting a little mark on here helps, because I'm going to take and measure the distance between here and here to get that swag. And even though I'm using the same star to mark them, the swag distance here is different than it is here. Okay, on to the top tier. All right, so next, because I already said I overdo it, and I want things as secure as they can possibly be, this is just a 1/4 inch dowel stick. Sausage on a stick. I bought these in bulk several years ago. Couldn't even tell you where I got them from now. But put it against the table. Get an approximate. I don't want it sticking out the top, so I go about 1 inch under the top of the cake. And then cut it off. And I take my handy dandy, exclusive for sharpening these, pencil sharpener. It's crappy, but hey, hasn't let me down yet. Use the part that I cut off, and I just kind of go in with it. But you have to be careful doing this, because you do not want to damage the top of your cake by pushing too hard and then stumbling off the top of the stick here. So anyway, then I take these pliers and go till it clears the surface of the top. And I check it, make sure I've got a little bit of a purge on my board underneath. I don't want it sticking all the way through, that if somebody, ouch, if somebody picks it up, they poke their hand. But I do just want to feel the point sticking through. Okay, good. All right, that's it. That's how I stack a cake. The mechanics of why are because I don't ever want anything to fall secure, or fall or collapse, or have somebody call me because their cake collapsed after they picked it up, or one tier shifted off the other one because, you know, I didn't have it secured properly and they rounded a corner and it came apart. I don't ever want that phone call. So anyway, that's the way I do it.